Здравствуйте, привет, and hello. Welcome to another video about learning the Russian language. In our last video, we learned several new adjectives, those we can use to describe people. In this video, we're going to continue on the topic of adjectives. We're going to learn about adjective declension. So, what does that mean? Remember how we learned about the 6 noun cases in the Russian language? Well, each noun case has a corresponding adjective case. And that's what this video is all about, the 6 adjective cases. Now, I don't want you to watch this video all the way through on your first go, the way you would with the other videos. And that is because this is a very large topic. And if you learn all 6 adjective case endings in one go, you are going to mix everything up and you won't know any of them. So instead, I want you to go through case by case, one at a time. After each new case, pause the video. Take a few days, make sure you really have it down in your mind, practice with it, practice writing sentences, and then come back and watch the rest of the video. So one case at a time. The only exception is for the nominative case because you already know that. So, without further ado, let's get started. When we're talking about the nominative case, you should already know these adjective endings. For male objects, the adjective should end in uy, I, or oi. For female, aya. For neutral, oya or eya. And then for plural, uya or iya. Okay, so that should be nothing new. You should already know this. Now let's look at accusative cases. So the noun case is for when you're talking about the object of a sentence instead of the subject. Okay, so for male animate objects, the adjective should end in ova. Remember, g here is pronounced as v, so it's ova. So stary becomes starova. Umny becomes umnava. Okay? For inanimate objects, it doesn't change. Use the same adjective ending as you would for nominative. For female, the ending is uyu. So stare becomes staruyu. Umne becomes umnuyu. And it is the same with inanimate objects, okay? So female objects, they always have the uyu ending. Now for neutral, objects are always inanimate, and so the endings do not change. And then for plural animate objects, the ending is ich. So starije becomes starich. Umnije becomes umnich. And then inanimate plural, it doesn't change. So in summary, this should look very familiar to you. This is a similar pattern to what we saw in the accusative noun case. Okay, just like with the nouns, the adjectives, they don't change for inanimate objects except for female. Alright, so you're actually only learning 3 new endings here. For male animate, it is ova. For female, it is uyu. And for plural animate, it is ich. Okay? So, if you've got this down, let's take a look at some example sentences. We're going to first compare nominative to accusative case. Okay, so nominative is about the subject of a sentence. My husband is handsome and smart. Okay, the husband is the subject of the sentence. So, мой муж красивый и умный. That is nominative. Now, if the sentence was instead, I love my handsome and smart husband. Now, I is the subject. It's the person doing the action, doing the loving, okay? And the husband becomes the object of the sentence. So, handsome and smart husband is going to be an accusative. Я люблю своего красивого и умного мужа. Okay, since husband is male but animate, the ending is ova. Another example, where is her green pen? The pen is the subject, so we're using nominative. Где ее зеленая ручка? But if the sentence were changed to I want her green pen, now I is the subject, it's the person doing the action, doing the wanting, and then pen becomes the object. So green pen will be an accusative. Я хочу ее зеленую ручку. Okay, since pen is female, the ending is ую. Alright, now that we've reviewed the difference between nominative and accusative, when to use which, let's look at some examples of just accusative adjectives and nouns. Okay? He wants a yellow car. Yellow car will be in the accusative case. Now, since car is машина, it is female, we will use the ую ending. Он хочет желтую машину. Okay. She wants a big, beautiful house. Now, house is dom. That is a male inanimate object. We're talking about inanimate male objects. We use the same endings. The endings don't change. It's the same as with nominative. So, она хочет большой красивый дом. Okay, next example. I drink red wine. Wine, вино, that is neutral, inanimate. Again, the endings don't change. Я пью красное вино. In our last example, we love kind children. Okay, so children is plural, animate. So the ending is going to be for the adjective. Мы любим добрых детей. Okay? Let's do a little more practice. Я ей даю книжку. I'm giving her a book. Okay, but what kind of book? The blank, it's green, right? So I want to say, I'm giving her a green book. Я ей даю зеленую книжку. Okay, because книжка is female, so we use the ую ending on the adjective. Он хочет карандаш. He wants a pencil, but what kind? It's a yellow one. Since we're talking about a male inanimate object, the ending doesn't change from nominative. So, он хочет желтый карандаш. In our last example, они любят котов. They love cats. Okay, cats is plural but animate. So, when we want to say they love black cats, it will be они любят черных котов. Okay, it was that ending. Alright, so here's a table to summarize these adjective endings. Okay, this is exactly what we've seen before, just in nice kind of format so you can see everything in one place. Now, if this is your first time learning this topic, I highly recommend you pause the video here and review the accusative case with adjectives. Don't continue and confuse yourself, because in the end, you want to be able to actually, speak Russian. You don't want to just know the theory. So if you want to be able to use these properly in sentences in everyday speech, you really need to practice. But if you've already got these down, let's move on to the genitive case. Okay? So the genitive case, the adjective endings are going to be ova for male and neutral nouns, oi for female, and ich or ich for plural. Now it's really going to be ich. The reason why I included the ich is because I want to take a moment and teach you a quick spelling trick in Russian. So, in Russian, there are a few letters after which you will never have the U. There's several of them, but I'm going to just tell you about two to keep things simple for now. It is ka and sha. If ever there's a word and you see a ka or a sha after that, and you think you want to put an U, don't. It's going to be E. Okay? So we'll see some examples of that. For now, just know that for genitive case, the adjectives in plural are going to have the ch ending, and we'll see if there are exceptions, okay? Now let's look at some examples. Remember that genitive is all about possession, okay? So the white cat has blue eyes. So we're saying that in the white cat's possession, there are blue eyes. Okay, so cat, that's the thing that's possessing something. That's going to be in the genitive noun case. So white will be in the genitive adjective case. У белого кота голубые глаза. Okay? Another example, the door of the big house is red. Okay, so the big house is doing the possessing. So that will be in the genitive case. Дверь большого дома красная. The door of the big house is red. Okay, another example. Friends of small children are kind. Okay, so the small children are doing the possessing. That will be in the genitive case. Друзья маленьких детей добрые. Okay, now here's an example of what I was talking about. The ending should be ich, but you never have the letter I after a ka or a sha. So since there's a ka here, маленьких, k, ich became ich. And our next example, the beautiful woman has a good husband. Okay, so again, beautiful woman is doing the possessing, so it will be in genitive. У красивой женщины хороший муж. Okay, now let's look at a couple more examples. У собаки красивые глаза. The dog has beautiful eyes. But what kind of dog? Brown one. So, brown will be in the genitive case. У коричневой собаки красивые глаза. Next example. Окно дома большое. The window of the house is big. But we want to say it's a white house. So, окно белого дома большое. And the last one, У яблок хороший сок. The apples have good juice. But we want to say they're red apples. So what would we say? У красных яблок хороший сок. Alright, that is it for the genitive adjective case. So, this is your first time learning about it. Pause the video here, practice with the genitive case, maybe re-watch those practice sentences that we just went through. Make a few of your own. You have a rich enough vocabulary in Russian that you can make up your own sentences, quite a few of them actually. But if you've already done that and you're ready to move on, let's go to the dative case. Okay, so the dative case is all about indirect objects. They answer the question, to whom, right? So if I give someone something, to whom am I giving it? The answer will be in the dative case. So, the endings for adjectives. In male and neutral, they're going to be omu. For female, it will be oi, and for plural, it will be But again, with those spelling exceptions, if it follows the letter ka or sha, the becomes an e. Okay? Let's look at some examples. He gives the kind woman an apple. So, to whom? To the kind woman. So that will be in dative case. Он дает доброй женщине яблоко. She gives the young dad a pen. To whom? To the young dad. So it's going to be Она дает молодому папе ручку. Okay. Now, another example of when you use the dative case is when you're talking about age, right? Dative to date someone, to say when they were born. The old grandpa is 90 years old. So, old grandpa is going to be in dative case. Старому дедушке 90 лет. And another example of that, the small children are 4 years old. So small children will be in dative. Маленьким детям 4 года. Here's another example of what we talked about, okay? Usually the ending will be but in маленьким, k, it follows the ka. And whenever you follow a ka or sha in Russian, the becomes an e. Okay? Маленьким детям 4 года. Okay? Few more examples. Он дает еду собаке. What does that mean? That means he gives the food to the dog. But what kind of dog? A black dog. So how are you going to say that in the dative case? Он дает еду черной собаке. Okay, next example. Коту 3 года. The cat is 3 years old, but we want to say the orange cat is 3 years old. So how would we say that? Оранжевому коту 3 года. Okay, we use that ому ending. Оранжевому коту 3 года. And our last example. Они дают котам воду. They give the cats water. But what kind of cats? Gray cats. So how would we say that? Они дают серым котам воду. Okay, that's it for the dative case. So, as always, pause the video here, review, go over it, make more practice sentences yourself, say them, write them, do whatever needs to be done so you can commit this to your memory, and then we will move on. Next is the instrumental case. Okay, so that is when we're talking about using something as an instrument. So you write with a pen or you eat with a fork. Also, when we're talking about when we have the word with, so I'm going with a friend. Okay, you also use the instrumental case. And finally, for the specific we, right? So if I'm saying my friend and I, in Russian, we would say we with a friend, right? So those are all times when you use the instrumental case. Now the endings. For male or neutral, it is unless, of course, you're following one of those letters, in which case the becomes an e. But usually the ending is For female, it is oi. And then for plural, it is umi. Okay, so let's look at some examples. A good friend and I live in an apartment. This is that perfect example of that specific we. So the good friend is going to be in the instrumental case. Мы с хорошим другом живем в квартире. Now, usually the ending should be but when you follow letters like ka or sha, the becomes an e, so it is хорошим, right? It sounds like it's an хорошим, but the spelling rule states that after ka or sha or a few other letters, you use an e. Next example, he eats salad with red tomatoes. Okay, we see that keyword with. That means we're going to use the instrumental case. Он ест салат с красными помидорами. She writes with a beautiful pen. Она пишет красивой ручкой. I want an apartment with a big window. Я хочу квартиру с большим окном. Here's another example when you have the sha in большим. That sha, you can't follow it up with an e, it becomes an e. Okay, so remember the letters sha and ka. There are others, but I want to keep it simple and, start with those two. Okay, let's look at a few more examples. Вы хотите бутерброд с сыром. That means you want a sandwich with cheese. But what kind of cheese? Yellow cheese. So what would it be? Вы хотите бутерброд с желтым сыром. Она пишет ручкой. She writes with a pen. What kind of pen? Она пишет красной ручкой. Okay? And our last example, он живет с котами. He lives with cats. What kind of cats? Он живет с белыми котами. Okay. As always, if this is your first time learning about the instrumental adjective case, please pause the video here, go back, review what you've learned, give it a few days, let it really sink into your brain before moving on. But if you've done all that already, it's time for our last noun case, or adjective case in this situation, prepositional. Okay, so for the prepositional case, if the object is male or neutral, it ends in om. For female, oi. For plural, ich. So let's look at some examples. Prepositional adjectives. So remember, this is following prepositions like inside of, on top of, or about. Okay, so our first example. Doctors live in beautiful houses. In is the preposition, so beautiful houses will be in this prepositional case. How would you say it? Врачи живут в красивых домах. Okay? Misha is in the red car. So red car is going to be in prepositional. Misha в красной машине. The paper is in the small desk. Бумага в маленьком столе. The cat sleeps on the old computer. Кот спит на старом компьютере. Few more examples. Бумага на столе. The paper is on the desk. What kind of desk? It's a brown one. Бумага на коричневом столе. Они говорят о книге. They're talking about the book, but specifically the green book. So how would you say it? Они говорят о зеленой книге. And our last example, Marina в машине. Marina's in the car, but specifically the light blue car. Marina в голубой машине. Okay, so that is it for all 6 adjective cases. Here are all of the adjective endings summarized in this one neat table. Remember, whenever you see an it may change to an E depending on what letter it follows. Okay, but there is just one last topic I want to go over before we finish this video, and that is question words. Now don't worry, this is going to be very easy because the question words use the same endings as the adjectives do. So, это какой кот? This is which cat, or what kind of cat? Это большой кот. So you should already remember какой, you've seen that before. As you notice, we are going to use that same ending as you do for the adjective for the most part. Okay, so this is nominative case. If we look at accusative case, it is the same thing. Она хочет какого кота? She wants what kind of cat? Она хочет большого кота. Okay, so we're using that over, that accusative for a male object ending. And then another example for prepositional, same deal. Она живет в каком доме? Она живет в старом доме. So whatever the gender is, or whatever the case is, the ending for the question word is going to generally match the ending for the adjective. Okay? Now, that is it for this video. So if you've made it this far, Give yourself a huge pat on the back. That is an enormous accomplishment, more so than for my other videos, because this one went over 6 adjective cases. That is a lot of information. I really hope you didn't watch it all in one sitting, because if this topic is new for you, you're not going to remember anything if you try to learn it all at once. You really should go one case at a time. And practice and review and wait a few days and then practice again. You really want this to sink in to your memory so that you're able to use the right endings at the right time. Okay? But again, if you made it this far, give yourself a huge pat on the back. In the next video, we are going to switch gears and talk about the names of places. So you'll be able to say things like, I went to the grocery store, or I went to the bank, or to the library. The names of all of these common locations. Okay, so look forward to that. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, leave a like, and definitely leave comments. I want to know how your journey is going, where you need help, maybe suggestions for ways I can improve my videos, or topics you want me to go over. So please leave your thoughts. I love reading them. I will be happy to respond. And that's it for now. Have a wonderful day. Bye.